At exactly 04:52 hours local time, Taiwanese coastal radar operators detected an unusually dense concentration of unidentified contacts emerging simultaneously across multiple sectors west of the Taiwan Strait. At first, analysts believed the signatures represented another routine Chinese naval patrol, but within minutes, the situation escalated dramatically. Additional radar returns began appearing farther south near the Bashi Channel, while long-range surveillance systems detected multiple aircraft formations departing airbases along China's southeastern coastline. Destroyers, missile frigates, electronic warfare aircraft, reconnaissance drones, and possibly amphibious support vessels. Inside Taiwan's underground command centers, military officers immediately recognized the dangerous pattern unfolding in real time. This was not a normal military exercise. China appeared to be conducting a coordinated multi-axis pressure operation around Taiwan, involving air, naval, cyber, and electronic warfare assets simultaneously. And then the United States moved. At approximately 05:14 hours, American reconnaissance aircraft operating near Okinawa abruptly altered flight paths toward the Philippine Sea, while the USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group accelerated movement westward. Additional P-8A Poseidon surveillance aircraft launched from regional bases, while Japanese and Taiwanese fighter squadrons entered elevated readiness conditions. The Pacific was suddenly becoming extremely unstable. To understand why this moment terrified military planners across Asia, you need to understand how dramatically China's military strategy has evolved over the last several years. For decades, analysts assumed any Chinese attempt to take Taiwan would require a massive amphibious invasion, similar to World War II operations. Thousands of troops, landing ships, urban warfare, direct assault. But modern Chinese doctrine increasingly focuses on something far more sophisticated: isolation warfare. Instead of immediately invading Taiwan, Beijing appears increasingly interested in rehearsing the ability to surround the island completely, cutting off shipping, disrupting communications, controlling airspace, and applying enormous economic and psychological pressure before major combat even begins. This changes everything, because blockades are far more difficult to respond to politically than outright invasions. At 05:42 hours, Taiwanese military officials reportedly detected increased electronic interference affecting portions of civilian navigation systems operating near the strait. Commercial pilots began reporting intermittent GPS anomalies while shipping traffic slowed across key maritime corridors east of Taiwan. Then another dangerous signal emerged. Several Chinese naval vessels reportedly activated fire control radar briefly while maneuvering near Taiwanese patrol zones. That moment triggered immediate alarm inside Taipei, because activating targeting radar during tense military encounters is often interpreted as simulated engagement preparation. Taiwanese anti-ship missile batteries hidden across coastal sectors reportedly shifted into combat tracking posture, while mobile radar units dispersed toward hardened mountain shelters. For several tense minutes, the region stood on the edge of possible escalation. No missiles launched, but military commanders across the Pacific understood exactly what was happening. China was testing reaction speed, testing coordination, testing pressure, and perhaps most importantly, testing uncertainty, because uncertainty itself has become a weapon in modern warfare. At approximately 06:03 hours, American intelligence analysts reviewing satellite feeds identified additional Chinese logistical activity farther inland near missile brigades connected to DF-17 hypersonic systems and anti-ship ballistic missile forces. That detail immediately intensified Pentagon concern, because China's military strategy increasingly revolves around denying U.S. forces the ability to intervene effectively during a Taiwan crisis. Long-range missiles, submarines, electronic warfare, drone swarms, cyber attacks, everything designed to slow or complicate American response time. And every exercise around Taiwan teaches the PLA how to improve that capability. At the same time, another invisible battle was already underway: cyber operations. Taiwanese infrastructure networks reportedly experienced elevated malicious traffic, while analysts monitoring regional communications detected unusual electronic activity consistent with Chinese signal intelligence operations. This is how modern wars may begin, not necessarily with explosions, but with confusion, communication disruption, economic shock, electronic interference, information warfare. The battlefield now extends far beyond missiles and ships. At 06:38 hours, Japanese self-defense forces expanded patrol operations near Okinawa, while additional U.S. Navy aircraft launched from carrier decks operating deeper in the Pacific. The alliance network across Asia was beginning to activate, and Beijing was watching every response carefully, because every deployment reveals valuable intelligence, reaction timelines, flight routes, radar behavior, communication patterns, military readiness. Modern military confrontations are also intelligence collection operations happening in real time. At approximately 07:04 hours, commercial satellite imagery revealed portions of the Chinese fleet repositioning farther east of Taiwan than many analysts expected. That movement mattered enormously. Historically, Taiwan's eastern coastline provided a degree of strategic depth because the island itself shielded portions of the Pacific approach routes. But China increasingly appears capable of operating around Taiwan from multiple directions simultaneously. This is one of the most significant strategic changes in the Pacific theater. China is no longer merely projecting power near its own coastline. It is expanding operational reach deeper into the wider Pacific, and that alarms Washington profoundly, because American military strategy has depended heavily on freedom of maneuver across the Pacific for decades. Now that freedom is increasingly contested, at the same time, Taiwan faces a terrifying strategic dilemma: respond too aggressively, and Beijing could frame Taiwan as escalating the crisis; respond too weakly, and China normalizes military encirclement operations as permanent pressure tactics. This is exactly why gray zone warfare is so effective. It operates below the threshold of open war, while steadily shifting strategic conditions over time. And every new operation becomes harder to reverse. At 07:36 hours, U.S. submarines reportedly operating near the Philippine Sea intensified monitoring activity, while additional reconnaissance drones entered surveillance patterns across key maritime routes. Beneath the ocean surface, another dangerous game had already begun: submarine warfare. Because in any Taiwan conflict scenario, undersea control could determine whether reinforcements, supplies, and naval forces can reach the region safely. And submarines remain among the deadliest and most difficult assets to track in modern warfare. Tonight, Chinese naval vessels continue operating around Taiwan, while American carrier groups remain active across the Pacific. Fighter aircraft patrol contested airspace. Cyber units monitor digital networks. Satellites record every movement, while military commanders across Asia prepare for scenarios they desperately hope never become reality. No invasion has begun. Not yet. But the strategic environment surrounding Taiwan is becoming more dangerous with every passing month, because every military exercise teaches operational lessons. Every deployment tests reactions. Every escalation normalizes higher tension. And somewhere inside military planning, rooms across Beijing, Washington, Taipei, and Tokyo, strategists are now confronting the terrifying possibility that the next crisis around Taiwan may not stay a drill for very long. The Pacific is changing. The balance of power is shifting. And tonight, one wrong decision could bring the region closer to confrontation than at any point in decades.